Tractate Bava Batra, chapter 4, page 61. The Chafetz Chaim, the great rabbi and teacher from Radin, teaches us many lessons. One of them is having everything written clearly before making any type of deal. Even you're hiring a contractor for small work or something related to a partnership or even more, it has to spell out clearly. Why is that? Because this chapter we're going to deal with subjects of sale, but I do not mean so and so. For example, someone sell a property but is not included basement, attics, certain part of the yard, storage room. The person wants to build underground a separate parking spot. A person wants to do a variation within the estate. The whole concept of relationship when it's come to sell an estate, if it wasn't a clear minhag makom, a clear bylaw of the state or the rule, the regulation of the neighborhood, therefore we have to deal with those problems. In short, this upcoming Mishnah dealing with someone who sell an estate. For example, he said, I'm selling a house without specifications, and therefore people have different understanding. You are selling, for example, a certain house. You meant to say, my understanding, for example, as a buyer, that included in the yard, you have, for example, a storage room. Practically speaking, I thought that I can build a sukkah, or I can build a parking, or I can do some variation of extension, etc. The whole idea of things not spell out, and consequently it was a different understanding. That's the core subject, not only for the Mishnah, but the perek, the chapter itself. So the Mishnah said as follows: Hamocher et habayit lo machar et hayatzia. Someone sells a house. Now the problem is, he did not specify lucidly in the sale that that's included the gallery. So the problem is, he comes in and he said, guess what? That small room, lo cheder katan namuch, small room lower, it was on the side of the house or on the back of the house, that was not in my intent to sell it to you. And the buyer said, what do you mean? You sold the property with everything. He says, no, I don't meant that. So according to this Mishnah, and obviously the Rashbam said later on we're going to discuss the details, but according to the Mishnah, if it was general statement of selling a house, so that's not included the gallery. Ve'af al pi shehi ptucha letocho. Which means, even in order to get to that gallery, you need to go through the property. Those of you who are familiar in Yerushalayim, here in New York there are more people who visit Yerushalayim, so you know what I'm talking about. You have certain neighborhoods, for example, Machane Yehuda, Katamon, and other neighborhoods. You have those houses that they have galleries, that is separate rental or separate entities, but you need to go toward the house in order to reach, especially those old Arab high ceiling houses. So when you sell estate, you meant to say they're selling the house but not the gallery. So even the chidush is, even in order to go to the gallery, you need to go through the property, still not considering included in a sale. ולא את החדר שלפנים ממנו. Also not the room inside the house. You may say, look, it's different use, it's inside. No. ולא את הגג בזמן שיש לו מעקה גבוה 10 טפחים. Remember, the idea of 10 handbreadths is not only in the Sukkah, but in many other halachic views. We discussed it in the previous prakim. But when it's come to roof, that's not included, because that's not, when you use the word bayit, a house, that's not included. It's separate entities. So therefore, when it's you sell it, the Rashbam said that's not included the roof, and this is sensitive because those of you who are familiar in Israel, you see it a lot, particularly in Yerushalayim, Kanai Nahar, people are, the family are growing and they need more space. Many times they start building on a roof. So the question is, the roof is shared by all the neighbors. But sometimes when you're selling apartment in a building, they always spell out if that's included the roof or not, because the way that the Mishnah said, if the roof contain a ma'akeh that have 10 handbreadth, that's a different story. But other than that, when you use the term bayit, a house, that's not included the roof. Not everyone agree with that. There is a view that disagree. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, אם יש לו צורת פתח, if the roof has, which we call the form of a doorway, that is, if it consists of 2 upright posts with a beam crossing over them, so even you enter to the roof and you're using the access from the house, that's the Tiferet Israel said, אף על פי שאינו גבוה 10 טפחים, even if the parapet, the מעקה, is not 10 handbreadth high, but the roof, it's independent, it's totally separated, and therefore אינו מכור. It's not, the roof is not sold together with the house. And again, if it was spelled out lucidly in advance, that is a different story. But other than that, since they have the tzurat petach, so that's makom nifrad, that's a separate entity, it's not part of the mecher, not part of the sale. Ma yatzia, the Gemara asks, what do you mean by using the term gallery? What exactly is a gallery means? Hachat targimu, in Babylon they explained that that's a small room with a low roof. After, which is either from the side or from the back. Rav Yosef Amar bidka chalila. Rav Yosef said windows structure which is attached to the main building. So that's basically those balconies that were open, like people does even for the sukkah, but it can be a place for people to rest, etc. למאן דאמר הפתעה לא מזדבנה, כל שכן בדקה חלילה, לא מזדבנה. למאן דאמר בדקה חלילה, אבל הפתעה מזדבנה. So again, there is a Rambam. I'd like to share with you the translation, the Quran translation. Rambam Ilchot Mechira, chapter 25. One who sells a house has not sold the gallery built around the house if it is more than 4 cubits wide. That's the sma. You see it also in the code in Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat 2:14. And he said, even if it is accessible only to the house, but if it is less than 4 cubits wide, it is part of the house and is included in the sale, even if it's not accessible to the house. That's the Ramah citing the Torah. So that's basically father of Yosef's interpretation of the gallery and the opinion of Mar Zutra, which we're going to see soon. In the same way, an attic that is built on the top of a house and opens into it, even if it measures 4 cubits, it's part of the house. The same, ולא את החדר. One who sells a house has not sold the room behind it. That's the case of Mishnah. He said, even if it is accessible only to the house. The Rosh and the Rashbam say that it is, if it's less than 4 cubits wide, it is part of the house. And when one sells a house, if the roof is 4 cubits wide and is the ma'akeh, the parapet 10 handbreadths high, he has not sold the roof. That's the Choshen Mishpat 2:14. Tane Rav Yosef. So since we are now in a way digressing, since we use the term Yatzia, we're digressing for a moment, just for a moment. Tane Rav Yosef, Shalosh Shemot Yesh Lo. When it's come to a small structure that attached to a building, it carries 3 names in the Tanakh. Yatzia, Tzela, Ta. Gallery, white chamber, and cell. The Vilna Gaon, on the Book of King, the first Book of King, chapter 6, verse 2, he explained, Yatzia, hu shetach halal cheder, which basically in our language you call it gallery. Tzela hu kotel, which is the wall. Shehaktalim hem mitzdadei השטח כמו הצלע. תא הוא שם אחרת בכללות והשטח עם הכתלים. So according to Vilna Gaon, תא, the cell, is the general expression of the room within the walls. My brother-in-law in a Daf al Daf on Bava Batra elaborates on that. Anyway, יציע דכתיב, היציע התחתונה 5 באמה רוחבה. Tzela Dichtiv, that's the prophecy of Ezekiel, who is also the Kohen, and he prognosticated the 3rd temple. So he said, והצלעות צלע אל צלע 33 פעמים. So תכתיב, ואתה קנה אחד אורך וקנה, אחד רוחב ובין התאים 5 אמות. Which means the room that attached to the wall, it's called ta, cell. והיא בהיתם המאחה, כותל ההיכל 6, והתא 6, והכותל התא 5. Which means the building that attached to Beit HaMikdash, it's considering cell that was 5 cubits high, wide. Now the Gemara goes back to the discussion that the Yatzia, the gallery, it's not part of selling the house, but the Gemara circumscribed that ruling. Amar Mar Zutra vehu dehave 4 amot. So the halacha only when the gallery has an area of at least 4 by 4 cubits. אמר לרבינה למר זוטרא לדח דאמר הדעה 4 אמות אלא מעתה גבי בור דתנן לא את הבור ולא את הדות אף על גב שכתב לו עומקה ורומה. So עומקה, we explained yesterday that someone built under the estate, even the other fellow said that it's not a damage, but basically he can avoid him from doing that because in a way it was a different understanding. And it happens, unfortunately, with people. Hachanami yave 4 amot in ilo lo. So it's totally independent. So Mar Zutra explains and says, how can these cases be compared? Hatam hatash mishta lechud ve'atash mishta lechud. Over there they have a different use. The one is collecting the water, the house is for dwelling. So it cannot be part of 4 by 4. So both the gallery and the house have the same use, which is a place of dwelling. Here you see machloket between the Rashbam and the Rashbam, because the Rashbam said that the Yatzia, the gallery, it's betoch habayit atzmo, within the domain of the house. So basically it's like the 2nd floor. It's like in those days they used to have the Ezras Noshim, very high second floor. But in order to get to the Ezos Nashim, you go to the shul and you go upstairs. So that's basically, according to the Rashbam, it's not Bichlal HaMecher, it's not part of the sale. And Yatzia Bifnei Atzmo, and the gallery is independent. Even within, you can say that you need to go to the room. It is a part of the room. But in a way it's different than the Rashbam. The Rashbam said, Michutz LaCheder, outside of the room. So the Mishnah said, V'lo et HaCheder shelifnim heimenu. So the Gemara asked, Hashta Yatzia lo mizdabdan, Cheder mibaya? Up to this point, what you said, that the gallery is not sold along with the house, so it's necessary to teach that the room behind the house is not included in such a sale. So they said, page 61b, Lo tzricha da'af agav dimtzar lei meitzrei abara'ei, that even if the seller delineated the boundaries of the house for the buyer in the bill of sale, which is nothing the house that border the property being sold, even though this might suggest that the room is included in the sale, the Mishnah teaches that is not. Kid Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravu, Amocher Bayit Vechavero Bebira Gdola. If someone sell a, for example, apartment in a large building, so Rashbam said that that's a huge property, that many houses open to that, it's only used to walk and sit there. So anyway, כדרב נחמן, אמר רב נחמן, אמר רבא ברבו, המוכר בית לחברו בירה גדולה, אף על פי שמצר לו מצרים החיצוניים, מצרים הרחיב לו, that he enlarged the boundary of him. So basically he's not delineate, the seller not delineate the precise border, what he's selling, he just delineate the boundary of the border. So the heichedam ilem adekaru le bayit ulebira bira pshita bayit zabin le bira lo zabin le. Here the bira nami karu le bayit kulei zabin le. Lo tzricha de ruba karu le. It's a different reading. What is ruba here? But anyway, le bayit ulebira bira v'ikadei nami le bira karu bayit. Ma'u detema kulei zabin le. Which means that most of the time they use bira for bayit. That's the way the Ritva said. Which means he intends to sell the entire large property. So basically, that's the whole idea. He should put it in writing. That's the sages institutions that require a person to put it in writing, because the people misconstrue the whole idea of selling with certain boundaries, and they don't intend to sell everything that within that domain. The fact that he did not write this clause, that's concluded the seller withheld something for himself and did not mean to sell everything located within the delineated boundaries. So that's, again, the big question is what exactly people meant and how far you go with the few people that use this term of bait. But anyway, I'm reading now first and then we read few halachot. אבל בי שמצר לו מצרים וחיצוניים מצרים הרחיב לו. היחידה מאילם עד קראו לשדה שדה ולבקה בקה פשיטה. שדה זבין לבקה לא זבין לה, ואלו לבקה נמי קראו שדה, כולה זבין לה. לא צריך דאיקה לשדה דקראו שדה ולבקה בקה וקנמי לבקה קראו לשדה. מה הודיתם הכולי זבין לה? כמה שמלן. מדאב למכתב ללא שיירת בזמיני אילן קדמי כלום, והוא לא כתב לשמה מינה שיעור שיירה. So here is the Rambam in Ilchot Mechira, chapter 21. One who sells a residence in a large building, even if he delineates the buyer, the external boundaries of the large building, or even if some of the people in that place refer to a large building as a residence, has nevertheless sold only the residence. The large building referred to here is one used not for living quarters, but only to access the similar houses attached to it. And the seller stood in one of the houses and said to the buyer, I'm selling this residence, that's the tour. Had the seller intended to sell the entire building, he would have written in the bill of sale, I have not withheld anything for myself in the sale. If most of the people in that place use the term residence for the entire building, the seller requires the entire building. That's the Sma. Now the Choshen Mishpat in 2:14 said, if no one in that place uses the term residence for the building, the buyer acquires only the residence in any case. The Rama adds that in a place where everyone uses the term residence for the entire building, and reference to as individual residence must be made in an explicit manner, the seller acquires the entire building even if its external boundaries were not delineated. וצריכה דיש מינן בית משום דלת השמיד על לחוד ועלת השמיש על לחוד. אבל ביקה דכול אחת עד השמישה יהיה מה כול זבין לי. ויש מינן ביקה משום דלה ולממצר לי. אבל בית דלה ולממצר לי ולא מצר לי כול זבין לי צריכה. So you need both of Rav Nachman. Now, כמן עזלה. had אמר רב מרי ברי דבת שמואל, that's a famous story. Why? Because she was captured and raped anyway. בר שלב משמי דאביי, היימן דמזבדלי מיד לחברי צריך מכתב ללו שריד בזבני אילן קדמי כלום, has to be spelled out in a contract ימן, כי רב נחמן אמר רבא ברבוע. So otherwise the person said that that's not intended within the contract and the other party will lose. So they like to just conclude with the road of the Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat 2:16. One who sells land to another must write for him in the bill of sale, I have not withheld anything for myself in this sale. The Rambam said that has to be lucid and unequivocal and clear in order to preclude claims that are liable to arise in the future. You see more in the Rambam, Sefer Kinyan L'chot Mechira, chapter 24.